So we're joined all the way from Atlanta for our final guest of the 9 weeks, my friend Joi Schweitzer, airline pilot, star of season one of Netflix The Mole, and founder of Joi Ride High. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson. I've got a room full here with me, and we are recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Of course, I'm happy to be here, Greg. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. Now, just give us a little background. You went to Georgia State University, got a degree in
Yeah.
psychology. You spent several years as a flight attendant
Yes.
before you were in the cockpit. And then, I think it's pretty obvious there are not a lot of black female pilots. In fact, I've had five on this platform, and that may be 3 or 4% of the entire group of them. So it is
Yes.
very rare. You saw the need for it. And as you said yourself, you decided to level up your life. So I know I gave a little brief synopsis there, but just tell us about that journey because look, we can talk all day long. There are not a lot of black female pilots, and you are right there in the cockpit flying people all over the country.
Yeah, I like what you just said, Greg. It was definitely a level up season. Um, and representation matters, right? I didn't see a lot of us in the flight deck, and I wanted to change that. But the desire was always there. Ever since I can remember, I wanted to fly. I wanted little wings pinned to the back of me, and actually wanted to fly myself. But we know that's not possible. So my parents took note of the flying bug that was inside of me. And my dad used to work for Dobbins Air Force Base. He would take my siblings and I to the flight line, put us behind large military aircrafts.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
there where I was exposed and was definitely bitten by the flying bug, even though I wasn't in the air yet. Now, the official bite didn't happen until I took a discovery flight as a flight attendant. But let me rewind. The reason why I became a flight attendant is because I did not see people who looked like me in the flight deck, right? So I didn't know how to get there. I thought it was, a path of twists and turns, but that's not the truth. It's a very straightforward path. There are options that one can take to get here, and it's not that hard. And so I thought it was hard. I didn't see people who look like me, and I just needed answers. And so my mom suggested I become a flight attendant with a major airline at the time. They no longer exist, but I did that for quite a bit and met mentors and joined organizations and gleaned as much advice and information as I could from my mentors. And we made it happen, which is why I'm able to sit here and talk to you today. So I appreciate that question. And it's definitely not about the result. Sometimes we want that instant gratification. I just want to be there. I just want to be there. But I want the boys and girls to know it's about the journey and being processed in the journey. And the journey is exciting. Whatever it is that you want to do with your life, rather, I don't care what it is, an athlete, an airline pilot, an actor, an entrepreneur, just know that the journey is what matters most because character and joy, peace, and grit is birthed in the process.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the process of becoming a pilot too, because you mentioned there's an article where you mentioned you noticed people getting private pilot licenses before they had a driver's license. So you can get
Yes.
that, but then there's several other steps after that. You got to have the instrument ratings, you got to have the commercial rating, the dual engine rating. And I'm not even a expert, but I do know there is. Several steps, but there are some great college programs here in Mississippi. There's some great military programs where people can learn that. Or you could be a flight attendant. We are always in need for flight attendants. They are, especially young men. Every time I fly, I hear women say, if we had another male flight attendant, this would be so much easier. So it really is a huge need. And aviation isn't going anywhere. I know the pilot's the top spot, but there's a lot of people that have a lot to do with getting a plane from point A to point B. And a lot of these great companies where you can live in a lot of these big cities and work at major airports and meet a lot of people. It really is a great field to get into.
100%, Greg. And to add to that, um, you can see the world. You make a lot of money as an airline pilot. And I'm not knocking being a flight attendant because I met a bunch of people who are now friends and who I'll call family to this day. So it was definitely a fun position, but it's nothing like getting paid the big bucks to be in control of the aircraft, to be in control of, people's lives. I take it serious. And like I said, you can see the world, you make a lot of money, and not only are you seeing the world, but your partner, your family, everybody can enjoy the fruits of your position as, an airline pilot or even a flight attendant.
Yeah, and you've used your platform to really, really make a name for yourself and inspire so many people. We see your logo behind you, Joi Ride High. You have used that metaphor of being a pilot to encourage people to advance their life. I love on your website you say you're stuck in taxi. It's time to take off. And look, obviously everybody's not going to be an airline pilot, but if people want to start a business, most of the time the only thing stopping them is themselves. And you're a perfect example of that because look, there's less than 150 black airline pilots and female airline pilots in the U.S. You became one of them, so you're like, look, I can do it. You can do it too. So talk about how that platform was born and some of the things you do because you're selling great content. You're doing a lot of great speaking engagements. You've got some audio stuff you're doing. So just talk about what all has been birthed from that, just from you taking the step to level up your own life to encourage people to do the same.
That's a good question, Greg. I receive a lot of revelation as an airline pilot. I get a lot of parallels and I like to apply it to real life. And so I decided that at the beginning of the year, with all the fear and anticipation of flying after a few, unfortunately, airplanes crashing in the beginning of the year. And I decided to take, what the media wanted to impose as fear and turn it into something positive and speak about my revelations and the metaphors that I receive from being a pilot. And it took off, pun intended. Um, I've been able to accept speaking engagements. I've been able to run a wonderful brand, like you said, Ride High. I've gotten brand deals and partnerships, and it's because I believe in myself, and that's what it starts with. It's a belief, it's an ethos, and I want to really just tell young boys and young girls who are watching that it starts with you, right? You want to get out of your own way because that's half the battle. It's us. It's not the person saying you can't do that. You can't have that. It's us telling ourselves that we can't have these things and that we can achieve greatness. You can. And what I like to inspire and preach to young boys and girls is to change your mindset. And you do so with speaking to your spirit every single day. I can do all things through Christ Jesus, which strengthens me. I can have it all. I have courage. I have what it takes to be this or to have that. So, yes, get out of your own way, faith over fear, and the world is yours.
Yeah, and also you become quite the influencer. You've gotten all types of following on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll definitely get your socials out to them so they can follow you. But I hear a lot of kids say, "Well, I'm just going to be an influencer." Well, it's not just let's flip a switch and just have people start following you. It literally, it's a lot harder than people realize to have engaging content, especially when you're doing all the things you're doing with your speaking, your flying, your workouts. So just talk about the schedule that you keep, and on top of that, you're a wife and a mother. So you're doing a lot of things, wearing a lot of different hats, so to say, but you're still putting out great content. So obviously, these teenagers are really interested in becoming content creators. So just talk about that schedule and what all it takes to be successful at that.
Yeah, I love that question too. Not by my strength, but by his power is how I'm able to do it all. And yeah, becoming an influencer, you get the brand deals, you get paid for it, you get the partnerships, and it can lead to other great things. Um, but I like to organize my time. I start in the morning with an input hour, which is I am reflecting, I'm journaling, I'm worshiping. After my input hour, I will have an output hour where I go to the gym. I do something productive. Maybe it's make the kids lunches while I'm, um, doing some laundry or something like that. Then I have a glory hour where I'm just focusing in on what I want to do, goals that I've set for myself. I call it a glory hour. And that's where I'm in all of my brilliance and I'm creating and writing and inspiring. And then I have a rest hour. So I take it as blocks. I don't bite off more than I can chew. I'm a human being. I am a huge advocate of course, I'm pouring into myself, but I'm also resting, and rest is what's important too. And for those boys and girls that aspire to be content creators and influencers, you have to use your brain. You can't do what Johnny or Susie is doing over here. You have to be creative. And being creative is reflection. You write down, what am I good at? What how can I add value to someone else's life? Because you want to solve a problem, right? You want
Yep.
there's a ton of people that lack, that need support, that need encouraging. So you think, how can I add value to someone? And that's how you're successful.
Big time. And and along those same lines, every content creator that we've had on this platform, you included, y'all have something in common that is so important for these young people to learn, whether they want to be an entrepreneur or not. And that is the ability to speak. You've spoken in front of large groups. You've been on the camera. You were on a reality show, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're going to be successful in business, how important is it to be able to communicate? These kids get so upset when we make them present. And I know I can speak for all the other teachers that'll see this later. We just have to twist their arm and they just hate getting up in front of the class. But it's not to make you nervous, it's to make you successful. Because if you're ever going to tell somebody this is why you need to buy this, you've got to be able to talk about it. If you're ever going to walk into a room and say you should hire me because of XYZ, you got to be able to talk about it. So how important is it to, and look, I love social media too. I follow you. I follow a lot of celebrities, but I like to follow things that are positive. But when you get so far into it, you lose that human contact and that walking in the room and shaking your hand and introducing yourself. So why is it important for these young people to master that right now?
Very, very, very important, Greg. It's getting out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to be honest, I struggled with public speaking when I was a kid as well. I I would get the nerves, I would get the butterflies, I would start perspiring because it's just being uncomfortable and feeling exposed in front of your peers. But it's just getting out of your own way, like I said before, and telling yourself, I can present. I have the confidence. I have the ability to do it. They're just human beings, you know? No one's gonna bite you while you're up giving a presentation. No harm is going to come to you just by giving a presentation. And I 100% agree with that. Communication is everything. So to be an effective communicator, you want to, of course, do it. So the more you do something, the better you get at it. You want to read a lot and you want to study the greats. Just turn on a YouTube video of Myron Golden and listen to how he communicates and try to implement those communication, skills in your own speech or presentation. So it's very important. Reading, writing, so get in the habit of writing down your dreams, your goals, and then getting up in front of people and doing it, having the confidence to do it. Don't be scared.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's just like anything else. The more you practice it, it is amazing how much better you get at it. And look, I guarantee you, these people we see on TV all the time that are always speaking, they're rehearsing before they get in front of the camera. So,
Yeah.
and you don't have to, I've spoken in front of thousands of people, you've spoken in front of thousands of people. You don't have to get to that level. But if you're ever going to be successful in any type of business, you've got to be able to have that communication with somebody and say, hey, this is why this can better your service. This is why it can better your life, better your company, any of that. And it's just such an important skill. And I know they get sick of me talking about it, but it's just something that I think is lost on this entire generation.
And I'm glad you're making them get up and present because that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to get comfortable doing it because it's not going to stop, at Greg's class. You're going to have to present, if you're in corporate, you're going to have to present you know, as a salesperson, like you said, if you have a product, if you have merchandise that you want to sell, you have to be able to say how good it is and how it will work for the client.
Yeah, and you've got a great sales pitch on your website about saying this is what you're going to get with just this $47 class. And you say you're not just getting this, you're getting, and you break down, and it was great. And we got to watch that before we went to lunch. But obviously, before I get to their questions, we got to talk about the mole. You are on season one of the mole on Netflix, which really catapulted your brand. And I encourage everybody to go watch it. Kazi Neblet, who was on there with you, has been on this platform as well. And I have a lot of kids also say, I mean, I would love to be on a reality show, but it's not exactly what it seems. Even though you had a great time, it was even though you conquered your fear of snakes with the snake over your shoulders. But again, you got to meet some amazing people, see some amazing things. Got to have your brand on on a streaming platform for the world to see. And you just talked about what a unbelievable experience it was being on the revival of such a popular show.
Yeah, it was a extraordinary experience, and I still can't believe I got the chance to do it. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, getting comfortable in front of a camera because I was discovered on social media. I just started my social media page. I didn't have a lot of followers, and even though there was a little bit of trepidation there to put myself out there, I still created. I still showed up, and a casting director reached out to me and said, "Hey, your content is really great. I love the fact that you make up less than 1% of Black female airline pilots. I love the fact that you're fit." And so we had a conversation about me being on the mole. And after speaking to my husband about it, we came to the conclusion that it would be a very unique experience that I would do well. And so I'm glad I listened to my husband and decided to be a part of the cast. And yes, Greg, I did overcome my my fear of snakes. I can look at one, I can touch one now and not be afraid. But it was a unique experience and I'm glad I did it. It took me a little bit of away from my family for 14
Yeah.
weeks because we did film during quarantine.
Oh
But
yeah, that's right.
yeah, but nonetheless, I'm glad I did it. And my parents, my spouse, and my son were able to watch me, a couple years later, and it was a great bonding moment and fun for the family.
Yeah, and
100%.
I encourage and again, I'm not going to give away the ending, but I encourage everybody to watch it. It's on Netflix now. You can go back and watch season one. Very entertaining season, and I'm not even a big reality TV guy, but I couldn't stop watching. I think I binged it in 2 days. Just very enjoyable. You were great. Kazi was great. Everybody on there, just really really interesting group of people. But it also shows, you know, I know it's a reality show, but it showed how you have to work with people to be successful that are not like you, that have different personalities, that have different goals in life, that have different backgrounds. Because
Yeah,
there was really every type of person you can imagine was on that cast. And the object of the show, those who don't know, is you have to work together to put money in a pot while one mole is working against you the entire time. And you did such a great job, as you all did, in finding a way to say, hey, here's our common goal. How do we work together as a team?
exactly. Yeah, you have to be able to kind of be a chameleon when it comes to, going on a reality TV show because there are different personalities, big personalities, and you kind of have to be able to kind of flow with, that environment. And it wasn't easy, but that was probably the most challenging part was trying to fit in with everyone because I was the oldest one there. I was the only one married with a child, and everyone
That's
else, yeah, were a lot younger, and we just couldn't really relate. But I did meet extraordinary people from there, and we still keep in touch to this day.
That's awesome. Yeah, and like I said, and we'll plug it again before we get done. But I do have some questions from the students here. This first one is Avery Harris. She's in 10th grade, one of our champion archers here at Velma Jackson. And
Nice.
she asked, how do you stay on top of industry trends and foster creative thinking for your clients?
I love that. So I outsource a lot of my work. So I have virtual assistants that will do research for me. They'll go on askthepublic.com and research certain keywords. And then they'll say, I think you would fare well, making a video on resilience versus perseverance. And they do a lot of research for me because I am a mom, a wife, an airline pilot, and flying takes up a large chunk of my time. So I believe in outsourcing work and just focusing on what really matters, which for me is creating. For me is spending as much time with my family as possible and inspiring the new generation when I go to work.
That's
But
awesome.
that was an awesome question, Avery. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is an awesome class. I'm glad they're getting to hear you. This is Albriana Towner. She's in 11th grade, and she asked, "What was your biggest inspiration to become a pilot?"
Ooh, ooh, I love that question. Um, my biggest inspiration, I would say, was my family. I come from a family where the men are very strong, very ambitious, and they go for what they want. And I would often see my dad, my brother work in a room, and like, wow, I love their confidence. And I thought about it one day. I was like, you know what? I share their same DNA. I believe that I have the confidence, the grit, the drive to go after my goals and my dreams. So I would say my family was a huge inspiration. My sister as well. She's very resilient and a go-getter. And my mom, like I said before, really encouraged me to pursue my dreams. So I want you all to look for mentors, look for community that pushes you, that pulls you out of your comfort zone, because you can't be great just sitting in a comfort zone. And every last one of you are great. It's housed on the inside of you. You just have to know it.
Yeah, and they've all done an original business concept for this class, and they have blown me away with how they're already thinking like business people.
I
It's
love
really, really
it.
good. Yeah. Now I like this question, and this goes along the lines of, and look, and I know you'll agree with me. I've never held back by saying this. Resources in rural communities, in rural black communities, were left behind for decades. But a lot of things are changing. A lot of industries are changing, and you just said how important it is to have representation in every industry. And we've actually had Stephanie Grant on this platform before, our friend in Atlanta,
Oh, I
who was
love
part of
her.
the first ever black female flight crew, and it was not until 2009 that that happened. So this is something that has really happened in recent years. So he asked, as a woman and being a pilot, have people ever said things to you that made you feel like they thought you didn't belong?
Um, I've gotten not really a direct, hey, I don't think you belong, but maybe um, kind of like a discernment or like a feeling or perception where I could feel that I didn't belong in in a certain space. However, what I used to do is I used to channel that and use that for my benefit. And I would say, hey, I I'm a queen, I'm a king. I come from the Lord and I have his DNA running through my veins. And how dare, how I'm gonna be audacious and say, hey, how dare you try to intimidate me into shrinking or feeling as if I don't belong. It's a discernment. It's never a hey, you're a female, you can't fly, or I don't think that you earn the right to be here. It's just a discerning.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and for any girls that are interested in flying, Stephanie's helped start Sisters of the Skies, which is a great nonprofit. They provide scholarships for females to get pilot
Yep.
licenses all over the country. So we definitely want to plug them. And if anybody's interested, I can get you that information because we really, just like every other industry, we always need young ladies to get involved in places that they haven't always had a big face. So really encourage anybody. Don't think because you haven't seen it, you can't do it.
Yeah,
I'll always say you can be the first at something, but you can be the best at something too.
100%.
All right, I have time for two more. This is Zayden Mann. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, when you were writing your strategy guide for women, how did you come up with the themes, or did you explore things you may not have known about?
Um, I receive a lot of revelation as an airline pilot, and I like to take the revelation that I receive and apply it to everyday life because you can apply it to everyday life. I speak of circling the runway. Um, and all that means is you're letting doubt creep in and you're getting into your own head and you know you're ready to take off, but, you have to do self inventory and look within yourself and see, I do need to have a different mindset. I do need the tools, the mentorship to be able to take off. And by take off, I mean to take off into your heart's desire, take off into the person that you're becoming, take off and spread your wings and into goodness, into glory, and into and to eventually land your dreams because you eventually will land your dream.
Big time. Well, I got one more, and I love this one. This is Kaylin Bullock. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, out of all the things you've done, what would you say has been the most challenging?
Um, I would say having childbirth, and I would say management,
Yeah.
managing my children, um, and all that they have going on, sports, school, and managing being a wife, making sure that my husband feels seen and supported, but the way you're able to do that is by not taking on everything. When I'm traveling, I'm making sure that mommy is catching up on rest. But when I'm home, I'm cultivating a life worthy of my children living and just being make sure that they're as fruitful and as wonderful young men as I can mother. So yeah, I would say just balancing.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a great segue because we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But a few things before we go. First of all, everybody needs to go back and watch The Mole season one on Netflix. Like I said, great series, great season, and it's there. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but you were great on there. But joyridehigh.com is the website,
Yeah.
correct? And
Yes.
all your socials are on there, and I'll send them out to I'll send out your socials so everybody can follow you. And I always say, these kids they follow all these celebrities, they follow these rappers and these movie stars, and that's fine. I'm a big sports guy. I follow a lot of athletes, but I always say find people that can pour positive things into your life. Find a content creator that's going to uplift you, that's going to give you some affirmations. No, and you do such a great job of that. So I
Thank
encourage
you.
everybody find someone like yourself that's positive, that's going to help you see what you can accomplish. And that's what I
Yeah.
want to end with is, even if these kids never want to own their own business, if they never want to be a pilot, they still have such an opportunity to be successful. And you're living proof of that. You're in a space that for decades never existed for people like you. So it can be done. So when
Yes.
these kids feel like giving up, as they matriculate through high school, making those decisions after they graduate, what can they do to be just as successful as someone like you?
Ooh, that is a great, I love that. Like you said, Greg, I would say find mentors, find people that believe in you. Sometimes it may not be your family, it could be a complete stranger, but someone that can see in you what you can't see in yourself. And this year, I have invested in mentorship, in coaching, and the coaches can pull things out of you and stretch you into the person that you were created to be because we all are on assignment here on earth and it's up to you to manifest your assignment, manifest what's written in your book in heaven and manifesting it here on earth. So find a good community. I even have a free Facebook community for those young boys and girls who want support, encouragement, and who need to be seen. Um, and again, just believing in yourself. It starts with you first. If you never hear, hey, I believe in you, just know that you you have an assignment on earth and you are great.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And again, we just thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule. This is always such a joy to talk to you. I just love everything you're doing. It's huge inspiration. But my friend, airline pilot, star of Netflix The Mole, Joy Ride High, Joi Schweitzer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Greg. It's been a pleasure.
All right, talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye.